Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Anybody have children? Well, most of you. If not the rest of you, I'm assuming at one point in time you were children, right? I have 3 kids. One is a daughter who, she's 21 now, but when she was maybe 6 or so, she looked a little bit like that girl from Monsters, Inc., if you remember, very much. And she, at the time, would always get excited when I came home from work. Not so much later in the years, but at that time she used to. And so one day I came home, as soon as I opened the door, she ran up to the door, Daddy, what do you do for work? And that was kind of the reaction I had, because now I got to explain to my 6-year-old what I do for work. So I quickly just said, I'm in human resources. And I could tell that didn't do a whole lot for her. So I went on what I thought was probably the most amazing TED Talk I've ever done. I talked to her a little bit about performance coaching, because I work with leaders in human resources, and I help them to improve their performance. I help them to improve their team's performance and the overall business as well. So I talked to her about that. And by the way, we've never talked to our kids with baby talk. We've always just talked to them like adults. And so this is how I was explaining it to her. And I talked to her about how we recruit talent for the organization, and how we make sure that we're capturing the succession planning to when somebody leaves, that we backfill them with the right people, and we maintain a strong performance management system that links in their performance, rewards, recognition, compensation structure. And again, I'm telling a 6-year-old this, and I talked to her about the culture of an organization, how it's maintained, how leaders have a strong impact, how HR partners with leaders, and we help develop the right culture to accomplish the overall business objectives and improve performance. So again, after about 10 minutes of this human resources TED Talk, I took a look at my daughter, and she looked a little bit like this. So I finally told her, okay, think about it like a teacher for adults. And she's like, okay. And she took off running to play. And a few days had passed, and I started to wonder to myself, what, if anything, did she remember from my TED Talk that I wish I had recorded it, but it's gone. So I'm gonna have to try and recreate it someday. So I asked her, her name is Alexandra, we call her Alex. I said, hey Alex, do you remember what Daddy does for work? And she says, I don't remember the words, but it's like a teacher for big people. And she says, I remember, human sorcery. True story, and she hates when I tell it. But I think that might be the name of my book when I officially retire and write my life in human resources career path. And just so you know, she did look that way at one point in time. And that's her, obviously, a couple of years, 2-3 years ago, right in the middle as she graduated high school. There's the entire family. I got my mother-in-law snuck in. I got to try and crop that picture out a little bit. But I'm kidding. We get along great. So what got me to here? That story stuck with me all these years. I thought to myself, am I doing my profession justice? Am I doing the right thing? I don't know if you noticed, that's kind of my career path here, the companies that I worked for, Wrigley, GE Aviation, and then now I'm currently with Amazon. And so over the years, 20 years, I've basically been giving away, internally, not so much as I was getting paid, but people reach out to me on LinkedIn quite a bit. And during COVID, early 21, it got overwhelming. It was just too much. People reaching out for little things like, can you look at my resume? Help me upgrade it. I have an interview coming up. Can you help me prep for that? I'm trying to change careers. Give me some advice. I have a new team. I have a new job I just got. This is the problem with my team. So again, giving it away for free for all this time, but it became overwhelming. I decided maybe there's something here. As I reflect at myself and looked at three things, if you can imagine a Venn diagram, what am I good at? What am I passionate about? And what can I make a living off of? And those 3 points hit into kind of where I'm at today is maybe there's something here, some additional services that I can offer. And for myself, be my own employer and work with entrepreneurs, small business owners, small organizations, small to medium-sized companies. I know between San Marcos or San Antonio and Austin, there's just an entire corridor of a lot of folks popping up, companies coming to the area. And I still get calls from headhunters once or twice a month, regularly. They saw my information on LinkedIn. They have a company, they're thriving, they're doing great, but they never decided to add an HR person until now. And so now I talk to them, I ask them some questions, and sure enough, they need somebody. And I tell them I can help you, but here's the deal. Here's what needs to happen. Here's certain price points. You're playing catch up at this time. Had they added an HR person earlier on in the stages of their launch of their company, they wouldn't be playing catch up. They would have had that culture set up. They would have been hiring the right people. You hire one bad person, especially in a top leadership role, they're going to corrupt the entire process, and the culture will never be prepared to accomplish the business objectives. I don't know if anyone can argue with that one, because I've seen it many, many times before. I've worked with brilliant engineers that couldn't lead people. And so nobody liked to work with them. And so that's damaging to an organization. And so anyway, I got to the point where how can I package this together and offer it? And it landed on, I have my own peers that I reach out to, my own coaches. And so I decided performance coaching was kind of where it's going to be at, because I can help, again, entrepreneurs, new leaders, growing throughout the organization, top leaders, because they're the ones that, right or wrong, as much as they tell internally to their organizations, tell me the truth, give me some feedback, they're not getting it. So you hire someone from the outside that can partner with them, works well with them, goes through a simple process where, what is the problem, what is the barrier, why is it important to remove this barrier, and then lastly, what does it look like once we remove it? You'd be amazed that this is where you quantify what it is we're actually doing, how I'm supporting them, and once they get past that process, they realize that many times they were their own barrier. Maybe they just couldn't make a decision for whatever reason. We'll uncover some of that. But sometimes they don't have the right people in play. And so sometimes there is a little bit of a coaching with the leadership team maybe that I can offer. Also some career development opportunities that I could offer and partner with and make sure that they're growing and developing within the organization, as well as growing the rest of the layers of the leadership. And then obviously it falls into some HR consulting type work that, again, those companies that maybe they have one HR person that does a lot of the tactical things. So part of what I'm also trying to do is dispel the myth, the human sorcery myth. What is HR? Because even now, if I were to ask you guys, define to me HR, some of you might say, well, hire and fire people. We party planners, I hope you don't say that one, but party planners is one that always gets stuck, we get lumped into. Maybe the policy police. If you watch The Office, even that character is a little bit embarrassing to me, because that's not who we should be. And so sometimes, maybe it's our profession, sometimes we own that a little bit, but in many cases I think it's more about, if I define HR to you in 6 words, learn the business, help others succeed. If you can do that, you're going to be golden. You'll have a long time career and you'll be able to write your own book. Most of it writes itself, trust me. So where I'm at now is I've gotten some businesses online a little bit, reaching out to me, and I partnered with them and have accomplished that. But my first question to you guys is, how do I officially launch this? How do I get more businesses bought into to dispelling the myth of HR, and then maybe offering what I have to offer through very creative ways while still having a full-time job? Because I'm not at the point where I can just leave my job and walk away. And I have a pretty good sized role within the company, so it's also time consuming. So that's my question to you guys, to maybe offer me some assistance, and then obviously I can answer any questions that we have aside from there. Thank you.